Hi everyone, I'm Jatin Agarwal and I'm thrilled to walk you through a comprehensive linguistic analysis of the Italian language, exploring its history, sociolinguistics, phonology, and morphology. So let's get started. We begin with an overview. Italian, a Romance language, evolved from Vulgar Latin shaped by pivotal moments like the Roman Empire, the Renaissance, the Italy's unification in 1861. It is known for its unique features like gemination, like in pizza, lexical stress, which can change a word's meaning, and fusional morphology, where a single ending conveys multiple grammatical roles. Italian typically follows a subject-verb-object order but allows flexibility for emphasis, adding expressiveness. Culturally, it's vibrant with diminutives like turning casa into casina. Casa is house and casina is a small house, and iconic gestures. Honorifics reflect social nuances. Interviews I conducted confirm that standard Italian dominates today, while regional dialects are on the decline. Italy is part of the Indo-European Italian is part of the Indo-European language family, specifically the Romance branch under Italiano-Dalmatian. It descends directly from Vulgar Latin, making it a close relative of Spanish, Portuguese, French, and Romanian. It's notably conservative, preserving Latin-like traits, particularly when compared to Sardinian, which feels even closer to Latin. Historically, Italians root trace back to Roman Empire, where Vulgar Latins spread across the peninsula, seeding early dialects. After the empire's collapse in 5th century, Italian fragmented and regional vernaculars diverged. During the medieval period and Renaissance, city-states like Florence, Venice, and Rome developed distinct literary dialects. Florence's Tuscan dialect gained prestige through literary giants like Dante, Petrarch, Bocciano, who standardized spelling and syntax. When Italy unified in 1861, the kingdom adopted Tuscan as the national language, spreading it via textbooks, postal services, and railway announcements, Tuscan being a dialect of Italian. Mussolini's fascist regime intensified this, using radios and schools to suppress dialects for a unified identity. Post World War II, mass media, compulsory education, and migration further eroded dialects, while globalization introduced English loanwords. Now, who speaks Italian? Around 67 million native speakers live across at least 20 regions, especially in Lombardy, Lazio, and Campania. Globally, 80 million use it as a second language, particularly in the EU. It's official in Italy, San Marino, and Vatican City, and co-official in parts of Switzerland. It's recognized as a minority language in Croatia and Slovenia. Diaspora communities in US, Canada, Argentina, Brazil, and Australia maintain Italian, though its use weakens across generations. Italian dialects are richly diverse. Northern Italy has Piedmontese, Lombard, and Venetian, often influenced by French or Ossetian. Central Italy, special Tuscany, speaks dialects closest to Standard Italian thanks to Florence's historical influence. Southern dialects like Neapolitan and Sicilian are so distinct that Sicilian is sometimes considered a separate language with its own literature. Uh, Island dialects like Sardinian and Croatian are unique. Sardinian preserves archaic Latin features. Dialects express regional pride in casual settings, but speakers switch to Standard Italy for formal contexts like education or media. Ital- Italian's vocabulary reflects centuries of contact. About 75% of its words come from Latin, while 10% of scientific and cultural terms like philosophia derived from Greek. French words such as bistrot and boutique entered during medieval trade and Napoleon's era. English dominates modern borrowings like computer, marketing, and slang like cool. Southern Italy has Arabic words like zucchero, sugar, and now North has Germanic terms like sacropone, which means food. The Accademia della Crusca and campaigns like Dillo in Italiano promote native words, showcasing Italy's pride in linguistic heritage. Now let's delve into its sound system. So as you can see, these are the consonants used in Italian: plosives, affricates, fricatives, nasals, liquids, and semivowels. And this is its vowel inventory. So it has seven vowels in stressed vowels, and in unstressed vowels, this reduces to five. This happens due to neutralization, where distinction in different varieties of E might blur. This system is based on Florentine pronunciation, which sets the standard for Italian. Now, move, moving on to Italian's phonotactics, it governs how sounds combine. Syllables can be complex, following a consonant-vowel-consonant pattern, as in strada. A hallmark is gemination, where double consonants change meaning. Compare fatto, fate to fatto, done. So complex soundsets like STR and strada are common, and codas often include NRLS, giving Italian its rhythmic flow. Allophonic variations add nuance. For example, N becomes N before K or G, as in banco, or before P or B, and M sound shifts to mang before F or V, like in inferno. So R can be a trill or tap depending on speed and region. And T and D are dental, pronounced with the tongue against the teeth, giving Italians its precise articulation. Stress and intonation shapes Italian melody. So it might stress might fall into the penultimate, which is the second last syllable, anti-penultimate, which is the third last syllable, and ultimate, which is the last syllable. So their examples are casa, machina, and città. Uh, and Now intonation patterns can be falling for declarative sentences, rising for yes no question, and regional variation for emphasis, means it's dependent on the regional variety. Dialects bring pronunciation differences. In Tuscany, the Georgia Toscana turns K into H, so casa becomes kaha. Central Italy often stops consonant clusters like campo. Southern Italy voices consonants after sonorants, as in ancora, pronounced angora. Northern Italy may skip germination, so gato becomes gato, softening the double T. Now let's move on to morphology. Now shifting to morphology, Italian is fusional, meaning a single morpheme can encode multiple grammatical features. For example, in Parlo, the O signals first person singular, present tense, all in one go. Word formation uses affixation. Prefixes like in or suffixes like mente are used. Compounding creates words like ferrovia, railway, ferro meaning iron and via meaning way. Reduplication like tanto tanto meaning very very, for very very much, for emphasis is common in phrases. Italian morphology splits into inflection and derivational types. Inflectional morphology adjusts words for grammar without changing their class. Nouns shift for gender and number, like libro to libri. Adjectives agree with nouns in gender and number. Verbs conjugate for person, tense, and mood, as in parlare, to speak. Derivational morphology creates new words or changes class, like diminutives, casa to caseta, eta indicating smallness. So casa is house, caseta is small house. Augmentatives, libro means books and libron means big book. So on indicates bigness. Nominalizations, movore to movimento, so move to movement, or adjective formation like national from nation. So basically nation to national. Nouns in Italian have gender, masculine often ending in O or E, and feminine ending in A or E. Number in case of numbers, endings like O to I or A to E are used, indicating singular or plural. There are exceptions, like there are in English, for example, hippopotamus to hippopotami. So in Italian, there is an exception like that to uomo to uomini, and multiple other exceptions. Now, articles match in gender and number. Definite articles include il, la, or il for license, and indefinite ones like un or una. So in Italian, articles have gender. Uh, and now, and now Italian verbs are a dynamic part of the language, organized in three main conjugations based on their infinitive endings. Are like parlare, to speak, and ere like legere, to read, and ire like dormire, to sleep. For example, parlare in the present indicative conjugates as parlaro, parlari, parlara, parlimo, parlate, parlano, reflecting person and number. Italian verbs express a rich array of tenses, including past and present tense and past tensing like passo to prossimo, which means recent past, imperfetto, ongoing, imperfect essentially, and passato remoto, distant past, as well as future and conditional. Moods add depth, indicative for facts, subjuncting for hypotheticals or wishes, imperative for commands, and conditionals for possibilities, while regular verbs follow predictable patterns. Irregular words like fare to do and andare to go and avare to have break the mold with unique forms, making them essential for learning the fluency. So now moving on to pronouns. Italian has different kinds of pronouns as we can see here: personal, reflexive, demonstratives, possessives, and it has politeness distinctions, informal being tu and formal being le. Let's now explore the syntax of Italian. Italian syntax is both structured and flexible, allowing speakers to express nuances through word order, pronouns, and sentence constructions. I'll break it down step by step, starting with word order and causatives. Italian's default word order is subject, verb, object, like in la, lo, magino, la mela, I eat the apple. This is typical for declarative sentences where the subject comes first, but Italian is flexible, especially for emphasis or to highlight a topic. For example, you confront the object saying, la mela, la magino, the apple, I eat it, to stress the apple as a topic. This topicalization uses prosodic cues like pauses or stress to make the focus clear, giving Italian its expressive flair. For yes no questions, a rising intonation is used, like parli italiano. Do you speak Italian? No need to rearrange the word, just the pitch signals the question. Causative constructions are another interesting features. These show someone causing or allowing an action. For strong causation, Italian uses fare, which is permission, plus an infinitive, like faccio. Causative constructions are another interesting feature. These show someone causing or allowing action. For strong causation, Italian uses fare plus an infinitive, like faccio pulire la stanza a mia sorella. I make my sister clean the room. Here, fare indicates the action is imposed and introduced the aged sister. For permissive accusation, lasciare is used as in lascio mio fratello urare il computer. I let my brother use the computer, implying permission. Reflexive positives involve a pronoun like mi faccio sfregare alle 6. I get myself woken up at 6, where the speaker arranges their own action. Next, let's look at relative clauses and the passive voice. Relative clauses are detailed to nouns, and Italian has two types. Restrictive clauses without commas are essential to the sentences, meaning like libero che leggo, the book that I'm reading, specifying which book. Non-restrictive clauses with commas add extra info, as in la mia auto che è vecchia, my car which is old, where the age is just a side note. Relative pronouns include che for subjects or objects, qui with prepositions like la persona a cui parlo, the person to whom I'm speaking, and do for places like the città dove vivo, the city where I live. Unlike English, Italian prefers pied piping, keeping prepositions with qui rather than stranding them. The passive voice shifts focus from the doer to the action's recipient. It's formed with essere plus a past participle which agrees in gender and number with the subject. For example, la porta è chiusa. La porta è chiusa, the door is closed, describes the state, while il libro è stato scritto da Dante, the book was written by Dante, describes an action. The agent, if mentioned, is introduced by da. Italian uses passive voice more than English, often preferring it to vague active construction, especially in formal or written contexts. Now let's talk about pronouns and negation. Object pronouns in Italian can be proclitic, appearing before finite verbs as in lo vedo, I see him, or enclitic, attached after infinitive, gerunds, or imperatives like vederello, to see him, or vidilo, see him. When multiple pronouns combine, they follow a specific order. Indirect pronouns come before direct pronouns, followed by name for paratives. So, me lo dai means will you give it to me. Tonic pronouns like ame or conte are used for emphasis or with prepositions, while clitic pronouns handle lighter object roles. Negation is straightforward. A single non before the verb negates it, as non parlo Italiano. I don't speak Italian. Double negatives are standard and required in Italian, unlike English. For example, non vedo niente, I don't see nothing, or non ho visto niente, I didn't see nobody, are grammatically correct, enforcing the negation. Finally, let's cover coordination, subordination, interrogatives, and focus. Coordination links clauses with conjunctives like e, o, ma, or. For instance, vado al cinema e compro a popcorn. I'm going to the cinema and buying popcorn joins two actions smoothly. Subordination involves dependent clauses introduced by complementizers like che, which means that, say, which is if or whether, or perche, which is because or why. This subjunctive mood often appears in these clauses for hypotheticals or desires, as in voligo che tu venga, I want you to come, or temo che piova, I fear that it will rain, adding a layer of nuance to express uncertainty or wishes. WH questions start with a question word like do, where, or chi, who, followed by the verb and optional subject, as in do, by, where are you going, where you is omitted, and chi parla, who is speaking. They are direct and rely on word order to signal the question. For emphasis, Italian uses topicalization and contrastive focus. Left dislocation like la pizza, la magiano. The pizza I eat it highlights the topic with a disjunctive clitic. Contrastive stress can emphasize the words as in magino la pizza. I do eat the pizza. Or object as in magino la pizza. I eat the pizza, not something else, letting speakers fine-tune their message. Let's now dive into the semantics of Italian, which is all about how meaning is created. Now, starting with an overview, Italian semantics involves lexical meanings, idiomatic phrases, symbolic expression, and gestures. These elements work together to convey not just information, but also emotion, cultural identity, and social nuance, making Italian a deeply expressive language. One fascinating aspect is dismuntives and argumentatives, which modify words to show size, affection, or emphasis. Dismuntives like ino or ettat and casa, house into casetta, little house, or ragazzo, boy, into ragazzino, little boy, often adding a sense of fondness or endearment. Augmentatives like on or ona, like libro, book to librione, big book, or porta into porton, large door, for emphasis. Endearments like uccio create terms like bambinuccio, dear little child, and pejoratives like asio turn tempo into tempasio, awful weather, adding a negative twist. These suffixes give Italian its playful emotional range. Honorifics, formality, and kinship terms shape the social interaction. Italian distinguishes between formal tu and informal lei, uh, as in com stai, how are you informal, versus com sta, how are you formal. Titles like signore or signora, dottore or professore are common, often used in polite greetings like Gentile sig Rosie, dear Miss Rosie. Kinship terms like zio, uncle, zia, aunt, nono, grandfather, or nonna, grandmother are used affectionately or respectfully, even for non-relatives, to build warmth and deference. Color terminology in Italian carries rich symbolism. Azzurro, light blue, is tied to national pride, as seen in Gil Azzurri, Italian sports teams. Colors like rosso, red, nero, black, bianco, white, and verde, green, appear in idioms. Verde rosso, to see red, meaning to be furious. Mercato nero, black market, or essere le verde, to be broke, literally means at green. Cultural metaphors like Principe Azzurro, Prince Charming, literally means blue prince, or Sangue blue, blue blood for nobility, add poetic depth to everyday speech. Euphemisms, gestures, and false friends add more layers. For sensitive topics like death, Italians use gentle phrases like emansato, he passed away, se ne andato, he's gone, or si è spanto, he faded away, and male male incurable illness for serious diseases. Gestures are a hallmark of Italian communication. Mano abrosa, hand pursued, meaning what do you want? Lecona, horn gesture, meaning to ward off bad luck, and regional variations carry specific meaning. False friends can trip up learners. Words like camera mean room, not camera. Liberia means bookshop, not library, and Villano has shifted from peasant to root. Time expressions in Italian are precise and unique. Compounds like dopo domani, the day after tomorrow, or ideale l'altro, the day before yesterday, pinpoint time clearly. Future markers fra or tra indicate in a certain period, fra due giorni, in two parts. Part of datum such as stamattina, this morning, stanotte, tonight, or le tre del pomeriggio, 3 in the afternoon, give Italian its temporal richness. Now, the interview conducted revealed some of the insights, most of which are integrated into the paper earlier. But I interviewed Giulia Rosi, a 32-year-old high school teacher from Bologna. Giulia primarily uses standard Italian but understands Bolognese dialect, though she rarely speaks it. Viewing dialects as somewhat old-fashioned, she noted regional speech patterns like Milan's clipped style, Naples' melodic vowels, and Tuscany's fricativized sounds, which are kind of observations or stereotypes, I would say. English loanwords like weekend or smartphone are common, but she counters with Italian equivalents like fine sentimenta. Giulia frequently uses diminutives like Calgolino, little dog, and augmentatives like pizzona, big pizza, and gestures like Monsieur Boy, what do you want? She values Italian's expressive flair and is optimistic about dialects surviving in local communities and online spaces. So yeah, a detailed description of the interview can be found in the paper along with a more detailed analysis of the linguistic universal. Now let's conclude. Italian is a language that is beautifully balances its rich linguistic flair, uh, and there is some tension of standardization driven by Tuscan prestige. Phonologically, Italian stands out with gemination, dynamic stress, and robust vowel consonant. Syntactically, Italian's SVO code is flexible, allowing expressiveness. Socially linguistically, Italian shines with expressive diminutives, honorifics, and icon gestures. And this research unfolded over months, and you can see through the timeline how it evolved. Now, so the sources which were used for the research were encyclopedia countries like Wikipedia. I verified using the sources reference in Wikipedia as well. Around 15 peer-reviewed papers from ResearchGate and Springer, historical and social linguistic portals, language blogs from Thought for Italian for 101, specialized lexica like Photo Italiana, and the interview were used to write this paper. I really had a good time writing it, and thank you for listening to my presentation.